Ari, in regards to like, one thing that I've obviously tried to do or thought about in regards to survivalism is think about trade. So, because a lot of times we're not gonna, no one's not gonna have gold because everyone doesn't have little coins of gold. Dollar sign, little dollars or bills or coins are not gonna be relevant. So a lot of time what we're gonna have to do is trade. What I have, I'll trade this for you. What are some items that you think would be good for trade in regards to a survival situation where money now is obsolete, where gold is very, good, however, not a lot of people have it. What are some trade items that you think people should use?
Well, food obviously is a good one. I mean, you might, or I don't know. I mean, food. There's food. There's things like rope, knives. Like there's like a compass. Like having an extra of things like that. Having an extra canteen even, or an extra, some sort of durable, bag that you can carry things in. Like things like that a lot of people wouldn't even think to have. If you have extra of that, you can trade that for food. Or, you could, if you have extra food, like you could trade that for, other things that you might need. I mean, it's like, it's a complicated thing to prepare for, really, because, you don't know what's going to happen at all. You're totally just being tossed out into the void. And, the best you could do is just, prepare logically, things that you would need. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, having a tent is good.
Yeah.
Maybe having even like an extra tent, is something that would be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry. To the same questions. What are some necessities you think are good for trade? Since obviously, money and we all don't have gold and silver laying around. So we're trade's gonna be the new currency. What are some necessities that you think that would be good?
I actually think this is actually even more important than gold, silver. I think preparing for a barter system is going to be the key to everything. I think in a disaster to come, thinking about gold and silver, it's probably, gold and silver is not going to be helping you when there's no electricity or people rioting and stuff like that, or even a natural disaster. I think some things people need to do, one thing that hasn't been said that people need to do is even start to learn nature skills, meaning that stuff like making fires. You might need to know that. Even getting lighters. You'd be surprised how when you're going over your cabinet and you're getting your canned foods and stuff like that, you forget lighters. And sometimes lighters might be better than matches as well, because matches might get wet. Even if you never use a lighter, but you'd be surprised if you never used a lighter before. It may take you a few times to actually be able to make the fire. You'd be surprised how many people never use a match. And when you're scarce on resources, you can't keep wasting your matches. So lighters might be actually more durable and smart, and something that people don't even think about. Even getting stuff like an extra axe, a little axe, it might help. I guarantee nobody's thinking about stuff like that. When time is coming, you might be able to trade an axe for something else. And if you have like 4 or 5 axes, that's something good. Even things like batteries are extremely important. Batteries are something that people just don't really think about as much anymore, because a lot of our electricity is kind of portable and rechargeable. So you have a lot of batteries that can help you. Water, I think Christine's really, I think that's true too. Water is something that you're going to probably need in abundance. And you can never have enough water. So I would suggest that's always on the top of everybody's shopping list. For me, things like duct tape might be very important as well. Duct tape is something that you don't even think about, but it might you might have to start to tie certain things together, like make your own umbrellas. I mean, duct tape is something that is very versatile, and I think is very important. Even if you're in an urban environment, things like earplugs are important too. You'd be surprised when people are riding, the noise might be unbearable, and having earplugs might be a real help. So I definitely think things like that are important.
Which actually, this whole concept reminds me of a book called The Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. It was actually a science fiction movie where she talked about, just off the topic, how there was some type of influenza that broke out and people weren't prepared for it, and it really caused the economy to crash. And it had a lot of interesting stuff about, people getting more in contact with their native plants or in their environment, therefore they can grow it, and what are some natural remedies. Because, at the same time, what people don't realize is we're going to need some medicine men, because a lot of people are going to be hurt. So, we need to realize who's going to be the neighborhood doctors. So Gary, for someone like in your area in Trinidad where, you may not have to worry about riots as much as someone in the city in Los Angeles, New York does, what are some survival things that you think that they would need perhaps in, Trinidad?
Basically, well, it may not be the same thing as in cities, but I think batteries is one thing. I wanted to add the point that it's an old thing I saw on battery. You get a 9-volt battery around that, and you open the container, you find about 52 AA battery. And I think that's going to be good because at least in the video, or what I saw, it was costing about $5 and it will be a very good thing to invest on. Even in Trinidad, because you have a much more money for batteries. It actually saves you money, so you can actually get things that cost more money. That as well as herbs, herbal medicine. In Trinidad, you in terms of herbs. Herbs like if you have some kind of eye infection, you can use that to actually wash your eyes out. Some sort, you can protect it. There's one as well. It's herb as well. We call ruku. People used to use it back in to make ketchup. You can actually use that to actually make a mixture food. You can even you can get into the staple called farine. It's FARINE. You can look it up. It actually lasts very long, for months, and you can actually mix it with milk, or you can eat it dry if you like, and actually gives a lot of protein. Peanut butter is another food which I think people should invest in. Peanut butter.
Yes, definitely.
Fruits and last for very long. You want to get foods that last for very long, but also very filling. Last very long. But there's some pastas, like I think couscous. I think a couscous lasts a bit longer than others. I know. I could go on and on, but I think basically herbs and food and stuff, you choose. And I think with eating, we have to come into a mindset as well. We cannot always stay in a certain way. For example, people who don't eat meat. We in survival, we only have meat around us, so we have to eat meat. This is survival. If you're a pig, you eat pork, but if you're hungry, you gotta hold the pig. It's the truth,
That's true.
So it's going to be a very, very serious time. I think we would have to change a lot of our mindsets.
That's true, because there was an article I read on Cyrus King's website where he was talking about, people who have preferences in regards to, like, they don't eat meat, or they're very picky in what they eat. It's like when you're in survival mode, anything goes. Like, for example, those people who plane crashed and they had to eat people because they had nothing else. I know it sounds really gross, but those are the type of things that people are going to have to think for when you're in survival mode and you have nothing else there to eat.
It's definitely mindset, though. Even simple things like if you don't have water, what you should do to last, don't eat as well. Most people don't realize that if you have no water available, every time you eat food, you're actually taking water from your body. So what you should do is just don't eat, or try to eat as little as you can.
And at the same time, Scarella, like I have my own survival package. So I have a whole bunch of canned foods, and I have propane and a grill. But at the same time, I also have Scarella. So if there are people around me, I just give them that, because that can obviously make them feel full for a couple of days. And also they should be, taking some type of button or something to suck on, so therefore they don't waste their saliva. So John, in regards to you, I have a question. Like, I know people are going to be fighting, and we're going to have self-defense, and a lot of us are not going to have knives and guns. In regards to homemade weapons, or in regards to martial arts, what are some suggestions that you would probably give to people who are just thinking, maybe I need to learn something?
Well, I would just suggest start getting into like crafting and building stuff, like so that you know how to build a shelter and make like a base of some sort, and learning also how to, like I said, hunt before, fishing. If you're in the wilderness, herbalism is good. that way you know what kind of herbs or what kind of plant you can eat than you know the poisonous ones. So that's also you know good. You can live off the land like that.
What are some simple ways for, let's just say, someone who's just beginning of preparing for survival?
Oh, well, I mean, like, I think Cyrus said, like, I think definitely learn how to make a fire. I mean, because it's not as simple as just putting some wood together and, you know, just starting a fire. You know, you have to get kindling, and you have to get twigs, and then you have to get the bigger logs, you know, build a foundation and whatnot. And, you know, definitely, I would say, like, just getting more in tune with, like, nature, like, spend a few nights, like, camping, maybe. Definitely adjust to letting go of preferences. I would say like that's like probably one of the most important things you can go on, because like you know you're not going to for a lot of people it might sound ridiculous, but it's going to come as like a total shock to their not only their mind but their body when you know they're used to living like a consumer-oriented lifestyle where they get anything they want anytime they want. You know, and that's what capitalism's all about. And then they're not going to have that option anymore at all. You know, they're going to be eating the same thing for weeks at a time, you know, and, you know, not having, you know, TV or electronics or anything, you know, except maybe a flashlight, you know. So it's like,
That's true.
you know, mentally, you know, it's good to, you know, at least think about it, you know, at least conceptually, you know, take that as a possibility.
That's true, because I think a lot of times what happens is people are not prepared for the worst case scenario. So when it happens, they're just not ready for it. You know, I know this is a sidetrack, but in Avon, they have this solar battery where all you have to do is actually just like you just have to like rotate this lever. Does anyone have that? Where basically it's a flashlight, but it never goes off. It's basically solar charged. All you have to do is push the lever, and it also has radio. You know, stuff like that. I think is really good for people because therefore, if I'm not saying radio will work, perhaps in a solar flare, but if it does work, that's a good way of keeping in contact with what's happening probably somewhere, you know, and down the street, because even though 20 miles is not far, in a car, on feet, 20 miles is very, very far. So I would highly recommend people investing in shoes and socks because our feet are going to be our next vehicles, personally. So I guess that's about it. John, do you have any last words or suggestions for survivalism in the 20th century in regards to like closure?
One thing I forgot to add, like if you do it, like if you survive in the winter time, it's gonna get cold. A good thing to start stocking up on is kerosene heater. Because kerosene heater doesn't have to use electricity, you just use the kerosene. So that's also a good thing, you know, for winter time, so you can stay warm a little bit, you know, longer than most people.
Yeah, because that's true. I never, you know, I'm living in California, so when I think about New York, I'm always concerned, like, how would someone in New York where it's cold be able to survive? Do you have any suggestions? I mean, it's just a random thought.
Like I said, the kerosene is one thing I think of. Also people who don't have like abundance of like sticks to make fires, you know, to make it, you know, an easy way to get steel wool and a 9-volt alkaline battery. You spark it and it makes a fire. So you can make a fire easily like that. People in the city, so it's, you know, So there's also other ways you can make fires. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, I think fire is going to be a very important necessity. I never knew about the battery. That's really interesting. Well, Gary, do you have any last-minute suggestions in regards to survival for, you know, anyone maybe in a tropical area or whatnot?
I was just wanted to add, even in dealing with fires, making fires, you could even use a magnifying glass. If you have one of those, you can just buy a cheap one, and if you're in sunlight, you just leave it there on your pilot sticks. And to me, it may sound strange, but it's self-defense, because you can have a makeshift weapon, something as simple as a key. You can use a key to stab a person in their solar plexus area if you're in a self-defense area zone. You only can defend yourself, so you use a key. Or you can have a toothbrush. You sharp the end of a toothbrush, you can become sharp. You can start out a person in the jugular vein. You bleed out. So you use their body parts, the points in the body to defend yourself quickly.